I already know. The Redditors are sharpening their pitchforks and lighting their tiki torches as we speak because I have committed the mortal sin of buying a Nintendo Switch 2, man. The literal worst thing you can do as a gamer in today's Reddit outrage culture, because not only are you supporting a $450 handheld console that can be bricked if you decide to hack or mod it, but also you're supporting the onset of $80 games. How could you? And well, I just have one message for people who have a problem with me buying the Nintendo Switch 2. You can take a Joy-Con and shove it all the way up your ass.
Emotional damage!
Torchada!
I'm sorry, I can't believe I'm starting the video like this. I'm still in shock and I'm really devastated. But rest in peace to the legend Ozzy Osbourne. This man changed my life forever, and it wouldn't feel proper to start a video without paying my respects. There'll never be another Ozzy, and I will never be the same. Not gonna lie, I got a bit emotional, but now Ozzy is forever immortalized. I normally don't get all sentimental, you guys know me, but we are experiencing probably the greatest loss in music that we will witness in our lifetime. At least in my opinion. I know, bummer way to open up a video, but after everything this man's music did for me, I can't help but pay my respects. Rest in peace, Ozzy. And everybody go listen to Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. That's the song that got me into his music to begin with. Now that we have paid our respects to the Prince of Darkness, it's time to get back to our weekly programming. Oftentimes I've been told by a lot of console peasants that PC gaming is just too expensive, and then I take a peek right over their shoulder and I see stacks of Switch 2 games and multiple Switch consoles and amiibos and those little soy plushies that come with being a Nintendo fan. I think Nintendo fans quite possibly spend more on video games in 1 year than I have in the last 10. And it's less to do with the amount of games they're buying and how much they're spending. Nintendo doesn't like to give consumers too much wiggle room with pricing. If a game of theirs came out at $50 15 years ago, it's gonna cost you $70 today. How do they do that? It's Nintendo.
The money is always right.
If you really think these game developers actually need a fully priced purchase from you, I hate to break it to you, but you've been swindled. Now would be the time for me to recommend to you, buying games used, but that's a risk that has led some people's Switch 2s being bricked. So no, it's not a good idea to buy used games online. This is where I would recommend to buy Nintendo games on sale, but that never happens. So then I would normally tell people, all right, CDKEYS. CDKEYS is your best bet, right? Right? Tell me I could save money on CDKEYS with my Switch 2, right? Well, as it turns out, that may end up getting your system bricked as well. And I'm not talking about G2A, which has games that have been purchased with stolen credit cards. CDKEYS is one of the safest websites you can use. I've purchased games there many times, and I've never experienced a single problem. And well, let's just say I've never once come across a single issue where a key I purchased was illegitimate, so it resulted in my entire PC being locked up and my Steam account being banned forever and me being left with a brick, all because I dared to try and save a few dollars. Not saying it hasn't happened with PlayStation or Xbox, because I don't own those consoles, but I've never heard of it happening. As a matter of fact, today is the first time I have ever heard of this ever happening to anybody, and it should come as no surprise that it's from a Switch 2 user. Okay, so apparently buying a code from CDKEYS can restrict your Switch 2. Hey everyone, I thought I'd share a story on my Nintendo Switch 2. I got it on June 7th on a contract with a UK mobile company. Oh!
You could do that, but why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
Oh! Oh, that's even worse! He just had a Switch 2 that he didn't even fully own yet get bricked. Oh my god! You know this guy was starving to save any little bit of money he could, because if you're buying a Switch 2 on a contract with a payment plan, you're gaming on a budget. And it sucks to say, but you chose the wrong console, my friend. The Nintendo Switch 2 is not built to save you money. That thing is simply a license to print money for Nintendo. One that you don't actually own, because they can disable it whenever they want. Sad to say, but if you actually want a device you own that you can pay pennies to play video games on, you need to go and build a gaming PC. I've been telling people for a long time. You want to actually own your system? Build it. If that means having to save up money to make it happen, then do it. Because then you will be under no contractual obligations and you won't have any strings attached, and you can play whatever the hell you want.
Come on, you guys. I'm just trying to help you save money. That's all.
Everything was going well until I decided to buy the game Life is Strange True Colors.
What are you, gay?
On June 19th on CDKEYS for £10. Everything was working in order, the code and the game. It was not about until a week later where I have woken up and seen that my games that were downloading had a cross on them. Now, usually that cross will mean that your connection was dropped, but in this case, it meant Nintendo cut them off from the internet permanently. Because Nintendo's method of bricking a system is to permanently disable its online features, which, as you and I both know, in the year 2025 means you have a brick. Motherfucker! Did you think you could buy your games on a CDKEYS? Well, now you can't buy your games online at all. Suck a dick! But, Mr. Mario, not every single game for the Switch 2 exists in physical form. Get a good scrub! I got the error code that my Switch 2 was restricted. I contacted Nintendo support, obviously, and they said that I've had multiple codes on my console, whatever that means, and that the bans are irreversible. So now, as of the 20th, I still have a banned Switch 2. I did contact Nintendo to remove the virtual game cards loaded onto it, and that was successful. I just don't understand how this one purchase, out of many I've made on Switch games for CDKEYS, has banned it before. The game works perfectly, by the way, and CDKEYS did issue a refund. So moral of the story is don't cheap out on the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm now stuck in a 2-year contract paying £25 for a paperweight. Oh no!
'Cause fuck them, that's why.
This is the worst possible outcome someone could have, and it's all from bad luck. A lot of unlucky people who are not even breaking the law are being punished on the Switch 2, which is why it's important you don't buy this device if you have the intention of saving money. If you like splurging, if you love dumping $80, then by all means buy the device. But if you're looking to penny pinch, you could face some serious repercussions. Now, for starters, that representative that told you it's irreversible is full of shit. Don't listen to the first Nintendo representative you ever get in contact with. It's gonna take many phone calls, trust me, but eventually you will come across somebody who can get that ban reversed, because Nintendo customer support doesn't give two shits. Most of the people on the other side of the line, they don't care that you now have a brick that you didn't finish paying for. They're trying to answer as many calls as possible because they got a quota. There isn't a single ban that is irreversible. They are lying to you. Call them until they put your number on block, and then call them with a new number, because fuck them. They shouldn't have any right to do that whatsoever, because they're not even punishing the right person. If your purchase wasn't legitimate, which would be a legit surprise, then they need to pursue the person that actually did break the rules, not you. All you did was make a transaction. This game's been out for 4 years and it's still marked at $60. The price for it on CDKEYS that I've seen is $15. So the only crime this man committed was trying to save money. Now it's obvious that Nintendo isn't banning his Switch 2 because he bought a used game. It's clear that key he bought was maybe obtained illegally and sold to him illegally. But again, why does the end user have to be the one to experience the punishment? Did Nintendo not think this out? No, of course they did. They would love for nothing more than to kill the secondhand market and any other reseller that makes life easier and cheaper for their consumer base. See, competitive pricing is a problem for Nintendo. It's their greatest enemy right next to emulation. Actually, when you think about it, competitive pricing probably does more damage to Nintendo than emulation. That being said, it's not like Nintendo is actively trying to stop CDKEYS, but likewise, they're probably not going to want to reverse that ban because it works in their favor. And they don't have to prove that this man did anything wrong because it's written in their policy. Because fuck Nintendo. Trying to save money should not be a risk. This hard measure put in place is all intentionally done to scare and fearmonger Nintendo Switch users from trying to purchase anywhere other than retailers Nintendo approves of or their own eShop. See, if there was never a single policy that allowed them to outright brick your console, none of this would happen. And they would instead have to deal with people who are actually breaking the law and not innocent customers, but Nintendo hates you. This is a policy that only benefits them because it ensures more people are gonna have to buy more Switch 2s, resulting in more sales of the console for them. And you would think, well, who the hell would go and buy a Switch 2 after unjustly having it bricked? You'd be surprised.
Hopefully I can get my hands on another Switch 2. Very expensive console generation.
Lots of people do that. Lots of people still go out and buy a Switch 2 after having their previous one bricked. This is why Brazil is being a lot harsher to Nintendo than other countries, because over there, when a Switch is about $800 goddamn dollars, going and just buying another Switch 2 after having your overpriced system bricked the first time is not acceptable. It shouldn't even be legal. I'm not saying this doesn't exist on Xbox or PlayStation, I just never heard of it happening. At some point, Nintendo's gonna have to start putting up warnings of how many different ways there are to get your system bricked accidentally. Put some goddamn fucking hazard sticker on it, letting people know your chances of having the system bricked only increase the more you're trying to save money, so be as expensive as possible. You remember there was a time where buying things like this was a risk because you didn't know if your purchase would actually work or not? Yeah, that was the worst outcome that could happen to you. Nowadays, you don't know if inserting that cart could ruin your $400+ purchase. And that's insanity because it's at the hands of the company who built it, not at the hands of hackers or other malicious third-party groups. It's all from Nintendo, and all of it can be undone. All of it can be reversed, which is why it's important we get as many eyes as possible on that Brazil lawsuit. They are the only country in the world addressing this. And if you don't think it's a problem, if you think this is acceptable, then how come you're not advocating and rooting for it to happen to all your other devices, huh? The amount of pirated entertainment you have that you're denying right now? Don't act like you don't have a plug-in device that lets you stream thousands of pirated shows. We both know that you would hate it if such a device caused your TV to permanently disable and never be usable ever again because Toshiba said so. Nobody advocates for policies like that, but Nintendo guys defend it when it comes to their favorite company because they believe for some reason Nintendo hasn't made enough money and they're struggling real hard, so bricking systems is a measure that has to be taken in place to ensure their company never goes bankrupt. The insanity of the ones that are actually committing fraud getting to walk away with not even a slap on the wrist, while the clueless customer that doesn't even know what's going on is the one that is punished. This policy benefits no one. It has to be undone. The way you find out if a game was legitimate or not should be in its removal from your library, not the whole device itself being bricked. Because what does that accomplish exactly? Does that eliminate piracy? Does it eliminate emulation? Does it eliminate the mixed switch? No, it doesn't. It just eliminates the user's console. I cannot wait for the day somebody jailbreaks this device and bypasses that stupid ass policy that should have never been put in place. The day that happens, I will gladly buy one used and jailbreak it, all out of pure spite. It infuriates me that these stories don't get more coverage, and instead people want to set them aside so they can report on, oh, Donkey Kong Bonanza. You'll have a bajillion articles and videos made about Xbox laying off people who can't even develop a video game, but a situation like this? Oh, well, no, there's no point in talking about it because Nintendo makes good games. Bullshit. It always pisses off people when I say this, but Nintendo games are not good enough to overlook this. And you're crazy if you think they are. Because if this were Sony or Microsoft, and especially Microsoft, people would be reporting on this for the next year and a half. It's moments like this that I'm glad I'm not blinded by Nintendo, because I really don't think their games are the best ones out there. That just seems to be all a part of the agenda, and I don't follow it. So no, until this gets undone, you're not gonna hear me shut the fuck up about it. I cannot wait to see what Nintendo's response to Brazil is going to be, which is only a matter of a few days away now. With all this evidence and all these examples stacked against them, what is Nintendo's clapback going to be? Well, that's why you need to hit subscribe. Get me to 120,000 subs also. YouTube has sent out the silver play button. It's on its way, so your face reveal is just around the corner. Be sure to tune in for it. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video.
Free Congo sucks ass.